page number 40, it is given like that chieftains and their fortification, that you can read. From where we are getting that one, Ibn Battuta, that one of the traveler from Morocco, and he explained the chieftains sometimes fortified themselves in mountain, because with mountain or in rocky and uneven and rugged plains, as well as in the bamboo grows. They was making different types of fortification, and with mountain, those who are living in mountain area, with the help of that mountain, or they are keeping the rocks rocky rock one by one up, above another one, like that. And next one, they use the places like that, uneven places, up and downs like that places, or even bamboo they was using to make the fortification. And in India, the bamboo is not hollow, it is big, and its several parts are also indoor twin, that even fire cannot attack them. They was making the bamboo fortification, that even if your fire is this enemy, they are attacking with fire, that also won't affect the bamboo. Like that bamboo fortification they was making. The chieftains live in the forest, which serves them as a ramparts, inside which they are as their cattle and their crops. In now also we can see, if you are going to the village area, they are making the bamboo fortification, and even to keep their crops, as well as their animals, sheep, goat, like that purpose we are using the bamboo fortification. Not like the kings, how much big one they was using. Now for the purpose of that, keeping the animal and crop purpose, they are making like that small fortification or fencing we are saying nowadays. And these are there is also water for them within, and that is rainwater which collected there. And in each and every city, what they made in with that fortification, we can see drinking water, or the using water inside the that fortification itself. That was what they collected. They was collecting rainwater, and hence they cannot be subdued except by powerful armies. Only the powerful armies, if they are coming, they can enter to the inside that one. First one, they should enter through forest, or they want to cut down the bamboos with specially prepared instruments. The ordinary instrument, with how they are making the fortification, it is very difficult, because already the maximum bamboos with thorns, and they should use the special instrument to cut down the bamboo fortification. So that was the explanation given by one of the traveler in 14th century. That much good craft work we had here in India. Then the Mongols under Genghis Khan invade Transoxina in northeast means that is in Iran in 1219, and the Delhi Sultanate faced their onslaught soon after. Mongols attacked the Delhi Sultanate, increasing during the reign of Alauddin Khilji and in the early years of Muhammad Tughlaq. In both the kings, when they was ruling, that both time the Mongols they came, and we have seen that the Khilji was succeed them, but Muhammad Tughlaq he become failure. And this forced the two rulers to mobilize a large standing army. Because of that, both kings they made a strong army in their area. Then we have seen already the page number 41, and let us move to the page number 42. In the list Muhammad Tughlaq's failure, we sometimes forget that for the first time in the history of the Sultanate, a Delhi Sultan planned a campaign to capture Mongol territory. So we understood like that Muhammad Tughlaq he was failure, and even in front of Mongol attack. Unlike Alauddin's defensive measures, Muhammad Tughlaq's measures was conceived as the part of military offensive against the Mongols. What they done, they made armies, and even then also the Muhammad Tughlaq he become failure, because the payment was not properly, they was getting cash payment, but the token currency, because of that they was not getting proper goods and services from the society. So we are going to see the 15th and 16th century what happened in Sultanate. Next top point it is, and the Sultanate in the 14th and 16th centuries. Take a look of table 1 again. You will notice that after the Tughlaqs, the Sayyid and Lodi dynasty ruled from Delhi and Agra until 1526. We have seen in the starting of the chapter, there is a table. It is given the total kingdoms who was ruling here, and Muhammad Tughlaq, after that there was ruling the two kingdoms. One is Sayyid dynasty, another one Lodi dynasty, and Sayyid dynasty started from 1414 to 1451, and Lodi dynasty started from 1451 to 1526. Next 2 centuries it is ruling by the Sayyid and Lodi dynasty. We can see that one. We have seen that already. And now we are going to see in 15th and 16th century. 15th century means 14 onwards, 1499, it is known as 15th century, and 15002 1599 1599, that is known as the 16th century. We are going to see that one. And then the Jaunpur, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan and their entire South India had independent rulers who established. In Sultanate area we can see two kingdoms, that is one is Sayyid and another one Lodi dynasty. But other areas of India, that is Jaunpur, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan and even South India, they become independent after Tughlaq's life. And they made their own separate rulers, and they flourished some states and prospered with the prosperous capital. If we can look at the Shivaji Maharaja, like that kings, we can see they are becoming the powerful kings as well as independent kings. And this was also spirit which saw the emergence of new ruling group like Afghan and Rajput. And in the same time the new kingdoms, they are coming here in India and starting the rule like Afghans and Rajputs. And for the same state, some of the states established this period were a small but powerful, and some of them very powerful even though they was very small, and they had very good administration. And first one of them, it was the Sher Shah Sur, that is 1540 to 1545. We have seen that is the Lodi dynasty, it is up to 1526. After the Lodi dynasty, we can see this the time of Sher Shah, that is 1540 to 45, only 5 years. He started his career as a manager in the as a small territory. In that 5 years he was one of the manager of a small territory, and that was in Bihar area. And he challenged and defeated the Mughal emperor even Humayun 1530 and 40, that in within 10 years there was one fight. And again second time, that was 1555 to 1556, and Sher Shah defeated Mughal emperor on that time. Sher Shah captured Delhi and established his own dynasty. And we can see when we are studying the Mughal kingdom, that time we will see like that Humayun, he is starting his rule here in Delhi. Afterwards he is going back to Afghan, and again he is coming after 1556, that we can see. In next chapter we will see that one. Although the Suri dynasty ruled for only 15 years, only 15 years they was able to rule, because in starting he was one of the manager, and slowly he is becoming a ruler. And within 15 years, means their family background with army like that things, it was not that much capable to continue the rule. and it introduced an administration that borrowed elements from Alauddin Khilji. What type administration he done? What we have seen as a successful administration of Alauddin Khilji, that only he followed, and he made it more efficient. Not only followed the rules and regulations of Alauddin Khilji, and he modified and made it more efficient. And Sher Shah administration become a model followed by the great emperor Akbar. When Akbar became the king in 1556 after Humayun, and he followed the same rule. Great Akbar, we are calling the great Akbar or great emperor, and he followed as a small king, we are calling it Suri dynasty. That Suri dynasties, and that there was only one king, that Sher Shah, and that was followed by great king Akbar. That's why he became the one of the great empire here in India. So by that lesson completed, we can see the three orders and the peace of God, knights and crusades. Means the same time what happened in some countries or European continent, what happened. The idea of three orders was first formulated in France, where it is France. In the society was divided into three order. India was divided into four in the name of caste, means Brahmin, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, like that. And here the society was divided into three. One is the king and his family. Next one it is nobles, means feudal lords. Third one it is the clergy, who the priest and Catholic priest, and the means not Catholic priest and priest society, we can say. So the three orders that formulated in France first, and where we can see the first development of democracy, that also we can see there in France. And so society divided into three classes, and those who prayed, those who fought, and those who tilled the land, like that three groups. Those who are praying to God, that is the clergy. Those who are fighting, that is king and nobles. And those who are tilling the land, that is the third estate. Really they was calling like that estate. The word what they are using, estate, and first estate, second estate, and third estate. First estate it come clergy. This part you want to study again 9th and 10th standard. So if you are associating this one, very easily you can understand on that time. First estate, second estate, and third estate. First estate with clergy, second estate with king and nobles, and third estate with peasants. And we can the same time here in India we are having four system: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, and afterwards it is developing outcaste and the subcaste and other things, subcaste formation and other things you will study in the coming lessons of history. And this division of the society into three orders was supported by the church. The church means Christianity. They supported that one. They was the dominant community of the society. They helped the emergence of new various group called knights. The what we can say, soldier who is more powerful, who is brave, and to them they was giving a award or surname or a position like that, knights. And afterwards we can see many people, they try to get the that position only for namesake instead of doing proper work. And the church patronized this group and used them to propagate the idea of peace of God. They want to, the church want to preach or give the idea of peace of God. We are feeling peace or calmness in front of God with the help of God. This attempt was to direct the warriors away from the conflict among themselves and send them instead on the campaign against the Muslim. They want to, the first objective why the church used for warriors for the peace of God. First one, they should not fight each other. Among the armies they should not fight, and at the same time they want to go and fight against the Muslims, and they the army want to capture city of Jerusalem, that is the holy city of Christianity. and they want to capture that one, Christianity and Jewish both religion, keeping Jerusalem as holy city. So they want to get that back. It was under the control of Muslims, so they want to get it back. For that purpose they are making use the army. And this series of campaign, it is known as, or fight, it was known as crusades. And why we are calling it crusades? They was wearing the cloth with sign of cross. In the front of that cloth they was using the red cross or cross. Even the flag they was using with cross. So it is known as the crusades. These campaign in the service of God, the clergy said, or the priests, they said like that, those who are participating this crusade campaign, it is really a service to God, like that they was giving orientation to the people. And the church completely altered the status of the knights. The church, those who are working with the church for getting back the from the Muslim, they are getting the position of knights. Originally, these knights did not belong to the class of nobles. It was never given to the nobles, only for the people, those who are fighting against the army, for against the enemies. To them only they was giving. But by the end of the 11th century in France and afterwards slowly in Germany and other countries also, they started to use that that knight's position. Even though they were the nobles also started to, they asked for to get that position, and there was this really given used to give to the warriors or soldiers. But the ordinary nobles also started to ask the position of knights. We can see like that doctorate and other things nowadays in our country. Those who are after their studies, those who are getting that doctorate, that is different. At the same time, we can see some of the people without this study also, they are trying to get their doctorate. Thank you. Have a nice day.